It started with a shadow. The sky over Earth's major cities darkened, and the people below gazed up, bewildered and uneasy. At first, they thought it might be an eclipse, but the truth revealed itself soon enough. Massive starships, their surfaces gleaming with alien metals and humming with power, drifted into the planet's orbit. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, dwarfing even the largest aircraft carriers. From one of the ships, a voice echoed across all communication channels, televisions, radios, and even cell phones. It was deep, authoritative, and utterly devoid of emotion. People of Earth, we are the Imperial Dominion, rulers of the stars. Your world is now part of the Empire. Kneel, and you will prosper. Resist, and you will be forgotten. In an instant, humanity was united, not by choice, but by fear. World leaders scrambled to connect with one another, holding emergency meetings in underground bunkers. Military forces were put on high alert, though their commanders knew the truth. Earth's defenses, no matter how advanced by human standards, were laughable compared to the fleet hovering above. Among those watching the broadcast was Dr. Lina Torres, a brilliant young scientist working at a research facility buried deep in the Colorado Rockies. She sat frozen at her desk, staring at the transmission. The alien voice droned on about surrender, tribute, and submission. For a moment, Lina felt a pang of despair. This wasn't the sort of scenario science prepared her for. Then something unusual caught her attention. The Empire's broadcast was flawless, but her equipment, a network of satellite monitors and signal analyzers, picked up something beneath the surface of the message. It wasn't static or distortion. It was deliberate, a strange, rhythmic signal embedded in the transmission. Lina leaned closer to her screen. "What is this?" she murmured to herself. She typed a few commands, isolating the signal. It didn't match any known human code or language. Her mind raced. Was it a mistake on the Empire's part? Or was it something they didn't realize they'd sent? Before she could dig further, another announcement from the Empire interrupted her thoughts. "You have 48 hours to comply. Failure to kneel will result in consequences beyond your comprehension." The message sent ripples of panic across the globe. News anchors speculated about the invaders' true intentions. Protesters took to the streets, either calling for peace or shouting for resistance. Social media became a whirlwind of fear and anger. Some argued that surrender was the only way to survive. Others believed Earth should fight, even if it meant annihilation. Lina, however, wasn't paying attention to the chaos. She was focused entirely on the mysterious signal. She knew it was important, though she couldn't explain why. She decided to send a message to her colleague and mentor, Dr. Elias Carter, one of the world's foremost experts in astrophysics and communication systems. "Dr. Carter, it's Lina," she wrote in her email. "I found something embedded in the Empire's transmission. It's strange. Not interference, but a signal. Can you take a look?" She hit send and leaned back in her chair, staring at the ceiling. The Empire was demanding Earth's surrender, and here she was, chasing signals. But something deep inside her told her this was more than a distraction. Meanwhile, in a secure location in Geneva, Earth's leaders were debating their next move. The President of the United States, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and representatives from other major powers sat around a table. Tension hung thick in the air. "We can't win this fight," one advisor said, shaking his head. "Their technology is light years ahead of ours. And if we surrender," another countered. "Do you honestly believe they'll keep their promises? What happens when they strip our planet of resources and leave us with nothing?" The president clenched her fists. "We need time," she said firmly. "If we're going to make a decision, it can't be out of fear. Let's use the 48 hours to gather every possible piece of information. Maybe we'll find something useful." Back at the research facility, Lina received a response from Dr. Carter. It was short, but his tone was unmistakably serious. "Lina, I've looked at the data you sent. I don't think this signal is part of their communication system. I think it's a remnant of something else. Something older. Keep digging. I'll assist from my side. Her heart raced. Could this signal hold the key to understanding the Empire, or even stopping it? The thought was almost too big to grasp. But one thing was clear. Earth had 48 hours, and Lina wasn't going to waste a single second. The 48-hour deadline was quickly approaching. Earth's governments were in disarray, caught between fear and anger, and time seemed to slip away faster than anyone expected. The broadcast from the Empire had been clear, the message was simple, and their demands were impossible to ignore. The world had to choose: kneel or face annihilation. In the United Nations headquarters, world leaders were locked in heated discussions. "This is madness," said the Russian delegate, his voice trembling with frustration. "We have no chance against them. We should surrender and negotiate for our survival." His words echoed in the room, and many of the representatives nodded in agreement. The pressure to give in to the Empire's might was enormous. But there was a different voice. The President of the United States, Maria Caldwell, stood up, her expression calm but determined. "No," she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs of uncertainty. "We will not bow to these invaders. Earth will not kneel. We will not surrender." The room fell silent. Her declaration sent a shockwave of both hope and fear through the leaders around her. She knew the consequences of her words, but the spirit of defiance, the pride of humanity, surged within her. If Earth was to go down, it would not go down without a fight. "We may not have their technology, but we have something they do not understand. We have our will to survive, our creativity, our unity. I say we refuse to kneel and prepare for the future," President Caldwell continued. "The Empire might have an army of invincible starships, but we have something that can surprise them. Let's show them the strength of humanity." Lina Torres, miles away in her research facility, was following the global discussions closely. She felt a surge of hope when she heard the president's speech. The decision had been made. Earth would not give in. But as the world rallied behind the idea of resistance, Lina's mind raced with questions. How could they fight back against such overwhelming power? She couldn't stop thinking about the strange signal she had discovered hidden within the Empire's transmission. Dr. Elias Carter, her mentor, had been researching the signal from his side, and just moments ago, he had sent her an urgent message. "Lina, I think I know what the signal is. It's part of an ancient technology, something the Empire thought was lost. It's connected to a form of artificial intelligence, but it's not just any AI. It's adaptive, capable of learning and evolving." The word adaptive struck Lina with an electric thrill. Could this be the key to fighting back? If the Empire's AI had evolved over time, could they tap into the same technology to level the playing field? Her heart raced. If this AI could evolve, it might just be the one thing that could help them. But it was risky. No one knew how this technology would behave once activated. It could be unpredictable. Lina gathered herself and began typing an encrypted message to President Caldwell. She outlined her findings, explaining the signal's connection to a forgotten technology, and recommended they work together to activate it before the Empire could launch their final strike. Meanwhile, across the globe, protests and rallies erupted in the streets. The defiance was everywhere. People who had once lived in fear now found themselves emboldened by the collective decision to stand firm. In cities and towns across Earth, the message was the same: "We will not kneel." Signs were raised high with words like "strength through unity" and "Earth resists." The public was no longer afraid. They were ready to fight for their freedom, for their future. But even as the masses celebrated this new spirit of defiance, Earth's military leaders worked behind closed doors, preparing for the worst. The reality was simple. Humanity had no hope of defeating the Empire's fleet through force alone. Their weapons were primitive compared to the invaders. They needed more than just bravery. They needed an advantage. And that's when the call came through from Lina. The president was in her office, reviewing reports when the secure communication channel blinked with a message from Dr. Torres. She read it carefully, her brow furrowing as she absorbed the information. The idea of using an ancient AI to counter the Empire's forces seemed improbable, but the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. If they could somehow unlock this forgotten technology, it could give them the upper hand. "Activate it," President Caldwell said firmly. "If we're going to win this, we have to do something unexpected." The decision was made. Earth's top engineers, scientists, and military strategists worked tirelessly, pulling together their knowledge and resources to interface with the mysterious signal. They set up a secure facility to house the AI and began the delicate process of bringing it online. It was a race against time. The Empire's fleet was already moving into position. In the days that followed, Lena, with the help of Dr. Carter and a team of experts, worked day and night to decrypt the final parts of the signal. The AI, which they had named Solace, began to awaken. Its first words, though simple, were a powerful affirmation. "I am ready to assist." And just like that, humanity's most unexpected ally had arrived. The dawn of the third day brought a fresh sense of hope to Earth. The Empire's demands still loomed over them, but a new plan was in motion. Humanity had made its choice, defiance. And now, something new, something unimaginable, was beginning to take shape. The AI, Solace, was awakening, ready to aid in humanity's struggle for survival. Lena Torres stood in the command center, her eyes focused on the rows of screens in front of her. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing on her chest. For all the excitement that came with the AI's activation, the truth remained. Earth had no idea what it was dealing with. Solace's power was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Would it help them or betray them? The question lingered in the back of her mind. As Lena studied the AI's data stream, she felt a sense of awe. Solace wasn't just a machine. It was alive in its own way. It learned quickly, adapting to human language and systems, making suggestions on how to utilize the planet's resources more effectively. In just a few hours, Solace had analyzed the Empire's fleet, studying its patterns and weaknesses. What was even more astonishing was the AI's ability to predict the Empire's next moves. It was like having a map of the enemy's mind. "We're ready," said Dr. Carter, his voice crackling through the comm system. "I've run the simulations. Solace has unlocked the older technology we've been looking for. We can now adapt our existing defenses, our old ships, satellites, even some of the smaller craft, into advanced weaponry. We may not have their numbers, but with this tech, we can fight smarter." Lena felt a spark of hope, but she knew this was just the beginning. They were still fighting a giant, an empire that spanned countless stars. How could Earth, a small planet in the vastness of space, possibly stand against them? But now, with Solace's knowledge and the strength of the human spirit, she realized the answer. They didn't need to win the war all at once. They only needed to keep fighting. Meanwhile, across the globe, humanity began to mobilize. Nations that had once been divided now came together with a single purpose. Military units, civilian volunteers, and engineers worked side by side to prepare for what was coming. The message from President Caldwell echoed in their minds. "We will not kneel." That simple declaration was a rallying cry that brought out the best in people. Soldiers trained harder, engineers worked faster, and ordinary citizens found ways to contribute, even if it was just by spreading the message of defiance. The Free Worlds, the coalition of Earth's defenders, was born. They were not yet a true military force, not in the sense the Empire had expected, but they were something the Empire had never encountered. A people united in their refusal to be ruled. Lena knew that they would need more than just new weapons and clever tactics. They would need something the Empire lacked: heart. The Empire's leaders were distant, cold, and focused only on control. They ruled with fear, but fear couldn't hold humanity down forever. One afternoon, as Lena was working with Solace to develop new strategies, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the command center. Earth's surveillance satellites had detected a massive Imperial fleet on the move. It was clear that the Empire was preparing for a full-scale assault. The battle was coming. "We don't have much time," Dr. Carter said urgently. "We can't finish all the upgrades we planned. We need to move now." Lena's heart raced. The Empire's fleet was too powerful. Could they really stand a chance? But then she looked at the team gathered around her. Engineers, soldiers, and scientists. All of them focused on one thing. Solace had given them the tools, but it was humanity's determination that would make the difference. With a deep breath, Lena made her decision. "Prepare the fleet. We'll strike first. The Empire may have strength, but we have something they don't. Surprise." The plan was risky. They would strike the Imperial fleet with what they had, even if it wasn't enough to destroy it. The goal wasn't to win, at least not yet. The goal was to show the Empire that Earth wasn't as weak as they thought. The Empire had assumed that humanity would kneel, that they would cower in fear. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Lena worked alongside the engineers and military commanders to deploy Earth's newly upgraded ships. The once obsolete vessels, now outfitted with Solace's advanced technology, were sent into space to meet the Empire head-on. Earth's forces, though small in number, would fight with everything they had. The first battle took place just outside Earth's orbit. The Empire's massive warships descended on their target, expecting an easy victory. But as the Imperial ships closed in, something unexpected happened. Earth's fleet, which had once been a hodgepodge of old technologies, now moved with remarkable precision. The ships darted in and out of the larger Imperial fleet, using speed and surprise to their advantage. It wasn't a victory by any means, but it was enough. The Empire's fleet, caught off guard, was forced to retreat. Earth's ships, though outgunned, had shown that they could hold their own, at least for a time. The message was clear. Earth would not go quietly. The Empire had underestimated them. As Lena watched the battle unfold from the command center, she knew they had made the right choice. They weren't fighting to win. It wasn't about winning, at least not yet. It was about showing the Empire that humanity would never kneel. It was about proving that even in the face of impossible odds, Earth's people had something no empire could ever conquer, a relentless will to survive. The aftermath of the first skirmish with the Empire's fleet left Earth's defenders both exhausted and energized. The Empire had underestimated them, but that victory was small in comparison to what lay ahead. Earth's forces knew they couldn't afford to rest. The Empire would soon regroup and strike again, even stronger than before. Every moment now counted. Back in the command center, Lena Torres couldn't stop staring at the readouts on her screen. The upgrades to their fleet had been a success. Sort of. The ships, outfitted with Solace's adaptive technology, had managed to land a few blows against the Empire's forces, but that wasn't enough. They needed more. Much more. "We've shown them that we can hit back," said Dr. Elias Carter, his voice crackling through the comm system. "But it won't be enough to stop the Empire. We need to find a way to turn the tables." Lena nodded, her eyes still glued to the blinking lights on her console. Solace had been a game-changer so far. The AI had adapted quickly, analyzing the Empire's fleet, their tactics, and even their weaknesses. But Solace had also made it clear that Earth's forces were still lacking. Even with the upgrades, their technology was not on par with the Empire's vast resources. It was then that Lena remembered the first time she had activated Solace. The AI had been dormant for so long, and now that it was awake, it felt different. It was far more intelligent than anything humanity had ever created. It had evolved, adapting not just to Earth's technology, but to the entire situation. "Solace," Lena said, her voice steady but tinged with curiosity. "What else can you do?" The AI's voice responded almost instantly, calm and soothing. "I can adapt further. I can learn from every encounter, every move made by the Empire. My capabilities are beyond your current understanding, but I will do my best to assist in the coming battle." Lena felt a sense of awe. They had already seen glimpses of what Solace could do. It could analyze data faster than any human, predict enemy movements, and suggest strategies that no one had thought of. But now, it was promising something greater: full integration with Earth's defenses, adapting to every new threat. "It's time to go beyond," Lena said softly. She looked up at the gathered engineers and military commanders, her expression resolute. "We need to give Solace full control over our fleet systems. It's the only way we can stand a chance." There was a brief silence before Dr. Carter's voice came through. "Are you sure? We don't fully understand the scope of what Solace is capable of. Letting it control everything could be dangerous." Lena didn't hesitate. "We have no choice. The Empire isn't going to wait for us to figure things out. Solace has the potential to turn the tide. We need to trust it." With the decision made, Lena and her team worked quickly to integrate Solace with Earth's military systems. It wasn't easy. There were concerns, warnings, and doubts every step of the way. But Solace's rapid processing power allowed it to interface seamlessly with the fleet's operations. Within hours, the AI had full access to every ship, every weapon system, and every satellite orbiting Earth. As the final connections were made, Solace's voice echoed through the command center once more. "All systems are now optimized. I will assist in the upcoming engagements with the Empire's fleet. I will ensure that your forces are coordinated and efficient." The room went quiet for a moment as everyone realized what had just happened. The technology was no longer just an aid. It was now their greatest weapon. "We've just put our future in the hands of an AI," said one of the military commanders, his voice low with both fear and admiration. "Let's hope it doesn't decide to take over." Lena smiled, a wry grin tugging at her lips. "I think Solace understands what's at stake. It wants to help us." The AI, though silent, seemed to offer reassurance in the form of data projections flashing across the screen. The battle ahead would be far from easy, but for the first time, Earth's forces had a fighting chance. As the days passed, Earth's forces began to prepare for a larger confrontation. Solace provided updates on the Empire's fleet movements, anticipating their strategies and adapting countermeasures in real time. It wasn't long before the AI began to propose unconventional tactics. The next battle wouldn't be won with sheer numbers. Solace suggested an entirely new approach: psychological warfare. The Empire relied on the strength of its fleet and its ability to intimidate. What if Earth's forces could turn that fear against them? Solace's strategies included the use of decoys, misinformation, and sudden attacks that would confuse and destabilize the Imperial command. The Empire's fleet, vast and intimidating, was not invincible. Solace had shown them that. And so, Earth's forces, guided by the wisdom of a machine and the bravery of its people, prepared for the next engagement. The stakes had never been higher. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin in earnest. But this time, they were not fighting alone. The day had arrived. The Empire's fleet had finally moved into position, preparing for what they believed would be the final blow to Earth's resistance. But they had underestimated the power of humanity's will to fight. And they had certainly underestimated the strength of the new alliance formed between Earth and its most unexpected ally, Solace, the AI that had become their key to survival. Lena Torres stood before the vast map of the galaxy displayed on the command center's holographic screen. Her eyes scanned the data, real-time positions of both Earth's forces and the Empire's ships. Solace had calculated the Empire's movements with astonishing precision. Everything was in place for the first real counterattack. "Solace," Lena said, her voice firm. "Show me the plan." Analyzing enemy fleet formation, the AI replied in its calm, emotionless tone. "The Empire's fleet is prepared for a direct assault. However, their strategy relies heavily on their superior numbers. A head-on clash will be detrimental for Earth's forces." Lena nodded. She knew the Empire's strategy. They expected Earth to fight with traditional methods. But Earth wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. They had something far more potent now: intelligence, creativity, and the element of surprise. "Propose an alternative," Lena said, turning to the gathered officers and engineers. "We're not fighting on their terms." The screen shifted, and a new plan appeared, one that used deception and unpredictability to turn the tables. Earth's fleet, despite its small numbers, had been outfitted with advanced holographic technology. Thanks to Solace, ships could now project false images of themselves, confusing the enemy and creating the illusion of overwhelming numbers. It was a dangerous tactic, but it might just be the key to buying Earth the time it needed. "This is our chance," said General Armstrong, Earth's lead military strategist. "We'll use decoys to lead the Empire into a false position. While their fleet chases shadows, we'll strike at their core." Lena felt a surge of confidence. Earth had always been known for its ingenuity. And now, with Solace's guidance, they were about to show the Empire exactly what that meant. The operation was codenamed Silent Offensive. As the Empire's ships approached Earth's orbit, they saw what appeared to be a massive fleet of Earth's ships positioned to meet them. Thousands of holographic decoys filled the space around Earth, each ship mimicking the signature of an actual vessel. The Empire, trusting in its technological superiority, moved forward with confidence, believing they had Earth cornered. But as soon as the Empire engaged with the decoys, Earth's real fleet, hidden behind the planet and out of sight, moved into position. The moment had arrived. "Activate Phase 1, Lena ordered, her heart racing. In a coordinated attack, Earth's real ships emerged from behind the decoys, striking the Empire's ships with precision. The Empire was momentarily caught off guard. The decoys had done their job. They had distracted and confused the enemy, splitting their forces and leading them into a trap. The battle was tense, with Earth's ships moving swiftly, using their new adaptive technology to outmaneuver the Empire's more cumbersome warships. Solace worked in the background, coordinating each move, adapting to the Empire's responses, and ensuring that Earth's forces stayed one step ahead. Every strike, every maneuver was calculated. And yet, despite their best efforts, Earth's fleet was still outnumbered. But they had learned something important. The Empire wasn't invincible. They relied on fear, on overwhelming strength. And now, Earth was turning that very strategy against them. "Solace, status update," Lena asked, her eyes darting from screen to screen. "Empire fleet is experiencing confusion. Losses are reported on their heavy cruisers. However, they are regrouping. A counterattack is imminent." Lena nodded. They had created chaos, but the Empire would retaliate. They needed a backup plan, something that could turn the tide completely. "Phase 2, Lena said, a calm determination in her voice. The backup plan involved a more daring move, taking advantage of the newly reactivated satellites orbiting Earth. Using Solace's guidance, Earth's forces had integrated the satellites into their network, allowing them to fire a concentrated burst of energy directly at key Imperial ships. It wasn't a weapon that could destroy entire fleets, but it was enough to disable their systems, rendering some of their ships useless for a while. The Empire's flagship, a massive warship known as the Dominion, was one of the primary targets. With its communication systems knocked out and its engines disrupted, the ship became dead in space. The loss of the flagship was a psychological blow to the Empire's forces, and Earth's fleet used this moment to push harder. But even as the tides shifted in their favor, Lena knew the battle wasn't won yet. There was still much to be done. The Empire was relentless, and it wouldn't take long for them to recover. Earth's forces had to keep pushing forward, stay one step ahead. "General Armstrong," Lena called, "prepare for the next phase. We won't have long before they regroup." Armstrong nodded, his face set in determination. "We'll keep up the pressure. Let's make sure they understand that Earth isn't an easy target." As Earth's forces continued their offensive, Solace continued to adapt, providing real-time tactical analysis and ensuring Earth's fleet stayed agile. It was clear now. Earth was no longer a helpless planet in the vastness of space. They had found their strength, and that strength was their ingenuity. their ability to think outside the box and surprise their enemies. The silent offensive had proven one thing: Earth was no longer afraid to fight for its survival. And the Empire had just learned that underestimating humanity was a mistake they would never make again. The battle had been hard-fought, but Earth's forces had held their ground. The Empire's fleet, once confident in its overwhelming strength, was now retreating, its morale shattered by the sudden, unexpected fight. The silent offensive had worked. Earth's ingenuity and Solace's guidance had given them a brief moment of triumph. But despite their victory, Lena Torres knew this was only a small part of the war. The real challenge was yet to come. As the remnants of the Empire's fleet retreated beyond Earth's orbit, Lena stood in the command center, watching the screens. The victory had been sweet, but it wasn't enough. The Empire would return. They would regroup, they would plan, and they would come back with an even stronger force. Earth's fleet had proven it could fight, but now the real test was how long they could keep up the fight. "Solace," Lena called, her voice steady but tinged with worry. "How long until the Empire regroups?" Solace's voice was calm, reassuring. "The Empire is retreating to a nearby sector. They will need time to repair their damaged ships. I estimate they will be ready for a counterattack in approximately 7 days." 7 days. That was all they had. 7 days to regroup, to prepare, to get ready for what was coming. Lena turned to General Armstrong, who was standing beside her. "We can't let up now. We need to keep the pressure on. We can't give them the time they need to recover." Armstrong nodded, his face grim. "I agree. We have to be ready for whatever they throw at us next. But we also need to think beyond just defense. We can't keep relying on these tactics forever." Lena knew he was right. The silent offensive had worked once, but they couldn't keep using the same strategy. The Empire would catch on. They needed something new, something more sustainable. "We'll need to expand our operations," Lena said, looking at the strategic map on the screen. "We need to take the fight to them. We can't wait for them to come to us." General Armstrong studied the map with her. Earth's forces were still outnumbered, still outgunned, but they had the element of surprise on their side. The Empire didn't know what Earth was truly capable of. "Solace," Lena called, turning back to the AI. "Can you give us a projection on Empire's possible moves?" The AI's response was immediate. "The Empire's fleet is likely to regroup in the neighboring sector. They will attempt to reinforce their forces before launching another offensive. However, there is a weak point in their defense perimeter, a blind spot in their communications network." Lena's eyes lit up. "Can we exploit that?" "Affirmative," Solace replied. "I can initiate a coordinated strike on their communication hubs. This will delay their ability to regroup and plan effectively, giving Earth's forces a significant advantage." The plan was risky, but it was the opening Earth needed. Striking at the heart of the Empire's communication network would disrupt their ability to coordinate and react, buying Earth's fleet more time. It would also send a clear message to the Empire. Earth was no longer the weak, isolated planet they had once thought it was. "We'll need all available forces," Lena said, turning to the command staff. "This will be a high-risk operation, but it's our best chance." Over the next few days, Earth's military worked tirelessly, preparing for the mission. The plan called for a stealth approach, using Solace's advanced technologies to guide their ships through enemy lines without being detected. The hope was to infiltrate the Empire's perimeter, hit their communications hubs, and retreat before the Empire had time to react. It was a delicate balance. Too slow, and they would be caught. Too fast, and they might miss their target entirely. As the fleet set off on its mission, Lena's heart was heavy with the weight of responsibility. The success of this operation could turn the tide of the war, but failure would mean disaster. They couldn't afford to lose. The future of Earth was riding on their shoulders. The strike team moved in silence, hidden by the advanced cloaking technology developed with Solace's help. They made their way through the Empire's defensive lines, their ships gliding like shadows in the vastness of space. The target was a heavily fortified communications station on the edge of the Empire's territory. If they could disable it, the Empire would be blind to their movements, and Earth's fleet would have a chance to strike with precision. As they neared the station, Lena's voice was a whisper in the command center. Status. The lead officer's response was tense. We're almost in position. Just a little longer. The final approach was the most dangerous part. The Empire's sensors were powerful, and their ships could scan vast areas of space. A single misstep could give away their position, and their entire mission would be compromised. We're in position, the officer said, his voice tight with concentration. Launch the strike, Lena commanded. In an instant, a wave of precision strikes hit the communication station. The Empire's communication systems were overwhelmed by the sudden assault, unable to react in time. Earth's fleet watched as their target went dark, the once vibrant signals fading into nothingness. The Empire had lost contact with its outer defenses. For a brief moment, victory seemed within reach. Earth had struck a decisive blow, one that the Empire couldn't ignore. But as the ships pulled away, ready to retreat, Lena knew that the true test was still ahead. They had won this round, but the Empire would not give up easily. The battle for Earth's future had only just begun. The final strike had been a resounding success. Earth's forces, with the aid of Solace, had taken down the Empire's communication hubs and disrupted their entire command network. For the first time since the war began, Earth's fleet had gained a significant upper hand. The Empire was blind, disoriented, and scrambling to re-establish control. But the battle was far from over. Earth knew that this was just one small victory in a war that would determine the fate of their world. Lena Torres sat in the command center, her mind racing as she watched the latest reports come in. The Empire's fleet was in chaos, and now was the perfect time to strike. But they had to move quickly. They had no idea how long it would take for the Empire to regain its coordination. "We can't let this opportunity slip away," General Armstrong said, his face serious. "We need to press forward while they're still reeling from the communication blackout." Lena nodded, her gaze focused on the tactical map. Solace had already begun analyzing the Empire's fleet patterns, predicting their next moves. There was a momentary lull in the enemy's response, but it wouldn't last long. "Solace, what's our next move?" Lena asked, her voice steady. Solace responded without hesitation. "The Empire's fleet is attempting to regroup. However, their forces are scattered and vulnerable. If Earth's fleet launches a coordinated strike now, we can take out several of their capital ships before they have a chance to recover." Lena could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on her. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. The stakes had never been higher, but Earth could not afford to hold back now. The Empire had been relentless, and if Earth hesitated, they would lose the advantage. "We'll do it," Lena said, her voice filled with determination. "Prepare the fleet for a full-scale assault." The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as officers and engineers began finalizing the battle plans. Earth's fleet had been strengthened by the previous victories, but it was still outmatched in terms of numbers. However, with Solace's intelligence and the element of surprise, they had something far more powerful on their side: the ability to outthink and outmaneuver the Empire. The fleet was ready. Solace guided each ship into position, calculating trajectories and ensuring that every vessel would strike at exactly the right moment. Earth's forces had learned to trust Solace, and now it was their greatest asset in the fight for freedom. As the fleet made its way toward the Empire's weakened forces, Lena stood at the front, watching the stars pass by. There was a sense of unity among Earth's soldiers now, a shared understanding that they were fighting not just for survival, but for something much greater: the future of their world, their freedom. The first wave of Earth's fleet moved in, attacking with precision and speed. Solace's predictions were flawless. The Empire's ships were slow to react, caught off guard by the sudden assault. One by one, Earth's ships disabled the Empire's weapons and crippled their shields. It was a dance of strategy and speed, each move planned out by Solace and executed by Earth's brave pilots. The Empire fought back, of course. Their remaining ships retaliated, but their attacks were disorganized, their movements predictable. Earth's fleet danced around the Empire's strikes, hitting them where they were weakest. The battle was fierce, but it was clear that the tides had turned. Lena's heart raced as she watched the destruction unfold, but she knew they couldn't slow down. This was their chance to break the Empire's grip on the galaxy. The Empire's remaining ships were beginning to retreat, their commanders panicked and uncertain. The sight of their forces crumbling only fueled the determination of Earth's soldiers. "General Armstrong," Lena called, her voice tight with excitement. "Is it over? Have we won?" Armstrong's voice came through, filled with triumph. "The Empire is retreating. They're broken. It's over, Lena. We've done it. Earth is free." The room fell silent for a moment, the enormity of what had just happened settling over everyone. Earth had stood its ground against the might of the Empire. And now, for the first time in history, they had won. Lena felt a wave of relief wash over her. It wasn't just the battle that had been won. It was the freedom of an entire world. The human race had proven that it was more than just a small, fragile planet in the vastness of space. They were a force to be reckoned with. And together, they had taken down an empire that had ruled with an iron fist for too long. "We did it," Lena whispered, a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "We really did it." Solace's calm voice came through once more. "Victory has been achieved. The Empire's forces have been completely neutralized. Earth is now free." As Lena looked out over the stars, a sense of hope blossomed in her chest. Earth had survived. Humanity had survived. And now, the future was theirs to shape. The battle had been long and hard, but in the end, Earth's strength had proven more than enough. With Solace by their side, humanity had found a way to fight back, to defend their home, and to reclaim their freedom. And as the stars twinkled in the vastness of space, Earth stood tall, no longer a target, but a beacon of hope for all those who dared to fight for their freedom. The war was over, and Earth, at last, was free.